Going to talk about being a journeyman electrician and what you actually don't know, even as a journeyman electrician. You might just get your license and you might think you know everything, but I'm here to tell you that it's only just begun on your learning. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what my experience was and when I got my journeyman's and how I thought it would be, and then how it kind of ultimately ended up as what's going on, learning everyone. So early on, the goal is always to get your journeyman's license. That's what you do when you go to school. What's up, Caleb? So that's what you're doing. You're in the trade school. You're meeting, once a week, or maybe it's twice a week. I can't even remember now. I think it's twice a week. You're meeting, and you're seeing all these other contractors, all these other people your age that are in a handful of different companies, and that school is logging your hours, and you're going to class with all these people. But the chances of someone going to the same company in the school that you're at is like really slim. So you might have 20, 30 kids in your class, and all of them are going to different companies, and you're hearing about stories that they did, and like, oh, maybe I didn't get to do that, and then finally, as you're coming up through the years, you finally get to a level of comfort where you just really feel like you know what you're doing. And for me, I would say about my fourth year, one day everything just clicked. It was like I woke up and everything just made sense. And I just hit the ground running. And that was kind of the end of that. It was just like a switch was flipped and I was ready to run a crew and start taking responsibility for everything. And I just started doing that. And that might not be your case, but there's a lot of stuff that they don't teach you, whether that's purposely, and I'm going to get into that in a second, but you'd be surprised what they don't teach you on purpose to try to keep you down here. And I don't know if that's something that upper level management wants you to do is to hold your journeyman back, because I was kind of in that upper level where I was training people and I was never told don't teach this guy anything. But maybe it's just people are greedy and they don't want to share information. So I was always sharing information and trying to better my helpers to where they could be something, get their test, and just be a better electrician in general. I never really had anybody do that for me. I had somebody that was really influential and I learned a lot, but they weren't really mentoring me. They were my lead person and they were very encouraging. But I took a lot of these guys under my wing and I made them way better electricians than they probably would have ever been without somebody like me training them. And, it wasn't until I got my journeyman's that I realized that I didn't know anything. You get thrown on a job, you're going to get your journeyman's, you're going to pass your test. And the first thing they're going to say to you is, hi, I love doing handyman. Nice. Handyman is great, dude. That's got to be a fun job. You never know what you're going to run into. You can do a handful of things. That sounds really good. What I do know from handyman is, they can always learn more about electrical. I've never heard of going to a job and saying the handyman did a really good electrical job. So hopefully your electrical really good if you're doing it, because that's kind of a gray area with whether or not you should be. But handyman's great. I'm kind of the same way with my own house, and you can never know enough. Like I don't know that much about plumbing. It rolls downhill, and I know the basics. Have you hurt yourself? Yeah, man, I've hurt myself a lot every day. Oh yeah, that tendon doesn't work anymore. Um, just cut my whole thumb almost in half. Been shocked where I saw myself get shocked. Uh, Almost got buried alive. Um, Probably been shocked pretty good about 3 times in my life. But yeah, you've always got nicks, cuts, scrapes, all that stuff. I'm trying to start this computer so I can get the chat up on this thing too. So pretty much we can take this wherever you want. If enough people join and they want me to do some code questions or a practice test, I got a practice test up here. If we want to do a practice test or something for electrical, we can do that. But I was just going to just trying to talk about my experience of once I became a journeyman, I realized that I didn't know anything that I thought I knew. And, I don't advertise this on the channel. I don't have the name inspector in my channel. I don't even have electrical in my name because I don't want the clout of being an electrical channel. I want to help as many people as I can, but I don't want to get too big because of my job. But being an inspector and a public figure, I really don't want to get like super huge. But I do want to try to educate and get enough followers to where if I do get too big, it's not going to matter. Hey bro, I'm not electrical, but I always enjoy learning stuff. Thought while you work, though, while you work. Hey bro, I'm not an electrician, but I always enjoy learning stuff through you while you work. Love from the UK. Hey man, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's very generous. So yeah, I just remember I got my journeymans, and it was kind of a funny thing because it's like, do I even bother telling anybody, right? Because it's like a running joke. It's like, now that you're journeymans, what are you going to do with it? If you get your masters, what are you going to do with it? Well, you can run your own company, and you can be seen as a threat to other companies to want to hire you because I think you might be doing side work, you might be stealing their customers. There's a lot of reasons why you might not want to get that next step, and that's an absolute thing. I'm not trying to say anyone don't go get your masters, get whatever you guys want to get. But once you get your journeymans, you kind of feel like you kind of know everything, and they start giving you a lot more responsibility. And your pay may not go up. In this case, my pay didn't go up for almost a year. And finally, after having my journeymans for I was doing industrial, so I was working in the same job site for like 4 or 5 years. And is it that hard to be electric? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in electric. There's 4 years of training. You got 8,000 hours logged. You got to have a letter from your master to sign off, and then you got to go sit an exam. It's not that hard, but there's a lot of mental discipline that you have to go through to be willing to do 8,000 hours on the job with another asshole. That's just the way it is. We're all jerks. Everybody tends to clash from time to time. You might get arguments with your friends, with your wife, with your spouse, whatever it is. At some point, seeing the same person every day is going to get interesting. So everybody's always calling each other names. Everyone's always cussing each other. Everyone's always trying to one up the other person, and everyone's always trying to. You're building the thing together, but they're very much your rival, even though they work for the same company. So there is a buddy system with me and my kind of group, I guess. But everyone else, man, if they're not in like your immediate group, because you're gonna have like a group that's doing the whatever it might be, this floor, and another group might be doing this floor, another group might be doing termination, someone else might be underground outside, whatever it is, everyone's kind of against each other. It's kind of crazy, but for the most part, you are a team, right? But they're your rivals because they're going to take the job that you want. You want to be the lead guy. You want to be the person in charge. If you don't want to be, that's great. Sit back, relax, and let somebody else do it. Just got promoted to lead tech, and now I'm over a lot of guys that are older than me. Do you have any tips I could use? No. you gotta show what you know, man. I was a journeyman. I was 28 when I first started being an inspector. Sorry, as an inspector, coming in at 28 years old. So if I'm an inspector at 28, you can imagine how it was moving very quickly up in the ranks. Missed a question. Let me see. Hang on. Thanks. You're a special kind of man for sharing all this info. I appreciate it. What's the difference between electrician versus apprentice electrician? Okay. So let me answer that question first because you're right. I did miss a question. So if you're an apprentice electrician, your job is to be like a sponge. Just learn as much as you can, be as valuable as you can. Try to learn what's fully expected of you. And keep in mind that you're kind of like an ice cube, right? Or you could be a puddle of water, whichever one you want to do. You could be an ice cube that's 32 degrees. And now you are a puddle of water that's also 32 degrees. Okay. Not much has happened except that you passed a test. So always keep that in mind. Just because you've got this title doesn't mean that you're any better or any worse than you already were. Because at some point, you're going to be a journeyman. And the only thing that changed is a freaking piece of paper. So you can say, what's the difference between an apprentice and a journeyman? And I can tell you the legal aspects of it. But really, the difference of somebody that's green and a very new apprentice versus a seasoned apprentice and a journeyman is very close to each other. A seasoned apprentice is sometimes better than a lot of journeymen on the job. So if you're an apprentice, you in most states, you can't work without being without having a journeyman on the job. So that's kind of the difference of an apprentice and a journeyman. And then a journeyman and a master, you can't pull permits and be on a job without a master. What's the easiest thing at work? Let me answer these other questions here. All right, so I just got promoted to lead tech. What I would do, I would wear my tools. I would be in the trenches with the guys, literally. I would not hand over hand, but I would very much show them that I knew my job, and I would do the same tasks that they're doing, because you're breaking down not cultural barriers, but you're breaking down almost like a social level of people, because when you're older, they obviously know more than you. They got more life experience than you. They're going to have a different demeanor about them than you. They're going to be moving a little bit slower than you. I learned this the hard way. I didn't realize this slow one until recently. They're going to be moving slower than you. And they're also going to think you don't know what you're talking about, or that they should have your job because they are older. If you can get the respect by showing them that you know what you know and you have the position for a reason without shaking your weight around, it's going to go a long way. That's kind of the way that I would lead. Would be I would get in there with the wire pulls. I would get in there and I would run pipe, and I'd bounce in between all the guys, and I would start doing some of the tasks they're doing in between, bouncing in between the different crews. So if I was running 20 people and I had 7 different crews and I had 20 people ish, math doesn't really make sense, but I had about 3 to 2 people per crew, and or maybe you had 5 and 4 and 5 and 5, or whatever you had. I would bounce in between the different crews, the different floors and stuff. Make sure that everyone knew what the task was that second. Make sure that we're still driving towards that same goal, and then do part of that work while I was there. Yeah, stay humble and let your work, always stay humble and let your work do the talking. That is probably the best advice there. All right. Caleb say humble. What would you say the hardest part of my job? My job is surprisingly stressful being an inspector. As a journeyman electrician, my job is the hardest part is to save money. Save money in man hours. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to save money and man hours. And you got to follow whatever's on the plans to code safely. Um, that's the hardest part about being a journeyman electrician is going to be and keeping your sanity, right? Because you're kind of herding sheep. So, for example, I remember I was doing a UPS room for a Baylor hospital, and I was in charge of the 6th floor to the 3rd floor, and I was doing the roof and all the way down to 3. And on the 3rd floor, they had the main IDF like data room. And at this point, I was a journeyman for probably 2 years. I'm going to say I started to know everything, but I knew how to find anything I need to know in the code book. And when you have two different systems, if you've got a 120/208 or you got a 480, a 277 and 480 system, you're going to identify your wires and your panels and everything based on a certain color coordination. So if you're high voltage, you do brown, orange, yellow for A, B, and C. A would be brown, B would be orange, C would be yellow, and then gray would be your neutral for high voltage. And then black, red, blue, white would be for low voltage. And I remember we had just pulled some wire to a UPS system. It was fairly large. I think it was like 350 coppers. It was like 200 foot long each, right, in a set. And halfway driving to the job site, something clicked in my head that I pulled the wrong color. And next thing you know, I'm going like 90 miles an hour down the highway, tearing into the parking lot, slamming it in park, running up 3 flights of stairs, 3 landings, but six flights, right? Because you got up and then this for be 1 floor. So running up 6 levels of stairs, whatever, and didn't even sign in, just got straight to the job site, flipped that door open real quick, looked at the equipment, I was like, oh, thank God we pulled the right color, and that's the hardest thing about being in charge is doubting yourself, and you got to have the confidence to trust yourself, because you got to realize that a lot of these older guys don't have the confidence to even trust you. So you got to put on this demeanor like you know what's going on, and you got to have a level of cockiness to you that shows that you know what you're doing. And that's where you walk that humble, cocky line, right? And I was always the really confident, cocky guy, but not arrogant, but just very talk my crap and really be on it. Like just know your stuff. Okay. If you're going to talk your crap, you better know your stuff. And I always made sure I knew my stuff and I talked my crap. And if I was teaching something, I made sure that everything, just went really smoothly. The biggest mistake that I probably had, I'm trying to think what the biggest mistake I've ever made was. I'll tell you that story in a second. Let me catch up with the chat. Hey, can you please assist with a technical question? I'm struggling to park my car in my wife's garage. It started happening from last week. My advice. I'm struggling to park my car in my wife's garage. Are you guys having communication issues with your loved one? Is that what that is? Is that a relationship advice? Because if you're a guy, chances are you're probably not hearing what she's saying, and you need to be more receptive to what she's feeling, whether you like it or not. If you're the man in the relationship, your wife needs to feel comfortable enough to talk to you about what she needs. And if you've got a barrier that's blocking her from feeling comfortable, you guys are never going to make the full communication that you need. Sorry, we're not talking about electrical, but it's pretty important. So, we got married when we were 21, I think. Met when we were 16. So we've been together for like ever, right? And we just kind of have always been together. We've never not been together. So, we've been working on our communication a whole bunch lately, and it's made stuff that much better because I've got ADHD and I can be an asshole. So, taking a look at myself has really helped everything lately. So, if you're struggling to make that happen, I would just initiate the conversation. What's the worst accident I've seen? Worst accident that I've seen was probably myself. I've been an arc flash, so I was doing infrared. I had an 800 amp breaker in front of me. I'm going to tell you the two scenarios that almost ended me, but this one didn't almost end me, but very dangerous. So when you get to a certain calorie rating, right, because you have what you call calories of heat, I guess you will, and 1 calorie is kind of what they call a cigarette burn on your skin for 1 second. That's 1 calorie, but that would be all the way across your whole body. So imagine 1 second of a cigarette burn everywhere. That's 1 calorie. Once you get up to the calorie levels, you have different levels of PPE, which is personal protective equipment. Everyone knows that is from the last pandemic or whatever. But so you got personal protective equipment. You might have a face shield. You could have a balaclava with a just a flip down hood. You could have fire rated Wranglers or some kind of like thicker cotton kind of shirt that goes over here. You could have arc flash ear plugs that do certain things when noise levels hit a certain peak, or your gloves could be a certain rating. You could have like what they call Nomex covered gloves, where it's like Nomex material, which is fire resistant. They still have grip on the outside, and they're going to stop from catching fire. So what you got to understand is everything at some point catches fire. If you held a lighter up to this piece of cardboard, it wouldn't catch fire instantly, but at some point the flash point's going to catch up, and it's going to get to that temperature to where now it's able to catch fire. So if we hold a lighter here, probably take 3 or 4 seconds to get up to temperature, and now it's on fire. Okay. With an arc flash, you instantly start at 30,000 degrees typically. So there is no waiting for things to catch fire. Like whatever's going to catch fire in that flash is going to catch fire. There's no way to avoid it. So if you are in an arc flash, everything that can catch on fire in the area is going to catch on fire. Yeah, that's the best way to explain that. That's why my glasses are so thick. Maybe it's this lens. I can't even barely see my glasses. So anyway, 800 amp breaker, had a cover that was shaped like this, right? The lug was sitting in here inside of this cover area like this. There was 4 screws in that cover. I undid 1 screw and put my gloved fingers behind the cover plate, and the whole thing just exploded. And it got so hot that it just melted the screws to where I was just holding the cover. It welded the 3 screws that I hadn't unscrewed, the bolts. It welded them to the case. And it looked like somebody took like liquid copper in a bucket, sloshed it around, and then threw it all over the switchgear inside. It just turned everything to liquid metal. But I was wearing all my safety gear, so I always tucked my gloves in my shirt and always wore my balaclava and my face shield and my tinted glasses and all that stuff. So I was okay. But that's probably the worst incident that I've seen. But I mean, I've almost been buried alive 30 feet below. I've seen myself get shocked. And that was after I became a journeyman, So you think you feel like you know everything as a journeyman, but you just don't know until you see all the different scenarios that you can run into, which you can't possibly do. Every situation's different. But yeah, let me check the chat here. I don't know where Carl went. Hopefully he's good. Yeah, flashback sounds horrific. It can be pretty bad. It's loud too. It's like a cannon. If somebody dropped a piece of plate steel that was like that thick off of a 100-foot building and it landed next to you. That's what it sounds like. It's like a metallic-y bang and a boom, like just a deep, deep boom with a high-pitched bang with the clatter of shaking sheet metal where it goes wagga 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 all at the same time. It's pretty crazy. And then it feels like you've opened an oven that you preheated to like 500 degrees. But you're standing naked in front of it as you open it. Like that's what it feels like. It's hot, it's loud, it's bright. And then I couldn't see anything for about 10 minutes. So it took me about 10 minutes to realize that I actually still couldn't see anything. It was just a big round white circle for about 10 minutes. So yeah, permanent eye damage. Be safe working out there, bro. Hey, appreciate that. If I can. No, sometimes I can pin those comments. I appreciate your generosity. Thank you. So, yeah, one of the lessons that I learned is that everybody's trying to get your job, I guess you'll say. It's kind of like a dog eat dog kind of thing. One of the last jobs that I was at my last company, we were working on a 14-story, 30 unit per floor high-rise building that was Section 8 housing. And there was a flood, and we had to replace some switchgear because the bottom of it had flooded out. So we were robbing Peter to pay Paul. So we're taking switchgear from the top floor and we were putting it down below. And then we're ordering more sections of this bus for the top floor so the job could keep going. And towards the end of the job, it was time to replace the stuff that we had ordered. And I told the guy humbly, I was like, look, put me where you need me. I'm here to help. I don't really want to know all the steps. I just want you to kind of hold my hand with it and let's just get this thing installed. It was kind of like a shutdown kind of vibe where you're just here to do that one thing only. It's only going to take you about maybe 45 minutes. And you got about 3 different crews doing it. This guy's supposed to be jumping in between the crews. And long story short, we were torquing something. And as I'm torquing it, my whole torque wrench just dropped. And man, I knew I had broken that bolt. And I stopped and I told my helper, I was like, whoa, man, I think we just broke this piece of equipment. And I went and got the supervisor, the main guy of the job, and he was like, well, go ask the guy that you've been dealing with. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I asked the main guy that I was dealing with, not the supervisor, but the other guy. And I told him what had happened, and he did something and got the screw in a bind or something. and got it tight. And he assured me that it was good. I knew it wasn't good, but he was wearing the white hat. I still had a yellow hat, so I was still a couple of ranks lower than him. And he said, "It's good. Do you want to see it?" And I was like, "Nope, I don't want to see it. If you say we're good, man, but I know it's not. So I think you should probably tell somebody." I said, "I've already told the main guy. You're the next chain of command that I've told. If you say it's good, cool, man. Have at it." I said, "I don't think it's good." At this point, I'd already done infrared, so I already knew all the repercussions. And I told him I wasn't happy with it, and he said, "Nope, it's good. We're turning it on." And that was their call. So I went on doing what I was doing in the parking garage. A couple of months later, they called in the crew to check all the equipment before you energize it. And long story short, it failed. And somehow it came back on me. And, they wrote me a review of like a 2.5, which my previous reviews, 5 is the max you can get. My previous reviews for the last 4 years straight was 4.7s, 4.8s, 4.9s. And, so when I saw 2.5, I just laughed at it and I signed it. And I didn't think it had any weight, but apparently it did because it followed me. And then it got to where I was working in infrared for quite some time, and then I jumped to this job, and this job was doing what they call scale pay. So if you are a journeyman electrician, if it's a government job, they'll pay you like almost $40 an hour. Fun fact, if you're reading this comment, lock your doors. There's a giraffe and a fedora outside your window. Nice. Appreciate you, Sam Pew Pew. Oh, you don't have to hide him, man. He's harmless. He said pew pew. He's all good. You can unhide him. Good looking out for the giraffes with fedoras, man. You gotta watch out for those things. He's not funny. Get the heck out of here. I tried, bro. What's up, Ian? So, yeah, I went from this job making like 40 an hour, went to a different job making back to what I was regularly making because I wasn't making scale pay. And after making $40 an hour for, I don't know, 2 years, and then going back to 23, it just doesn't work out very good. I dare you to scream bacon. My kids are sleeping. I can't scream bacon. Bacon. Yeah, I can't scream bacon. But yeah, that's just, and that was a lesson learned. You got to watch your back. You got to document what you can on your side, because chances are the majority of people just, the work ethic's not there. So if you feel like you got good work ethic and you feel like you care and you want to show up and you want to do better for the company, you're already that much higher than your surrounding peers. So the chances of you having that mentality and that attitude, and you also documenting, no one else is going to be documenting anything. You're the only person with paperwork, and all your stuff is going to be in order, and none of theirs is going to be. Why not DeWalt? That is a very complicated question. We talk about it quite often on this channel, and I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me before I say this, because it just seems like I've got some pretty bad luck, but I've got everything that I could ever ask for. So I'm not complaining. Okay, first off, we had a house that had shingles in the attic and a roof over that. There was a roof leak for almost 2 years, and there was mold in the attic. and we had no idea. And pretty much just started dying. I mean, I was just dying. So lost my gallbladder, got like really sick, and ultimately had to sell the house and throw away everything we've ever owned and restart life all over again. So my choice was always DeWalt and Flex. When I was in the field, I rocked Milwaukee. But lately, with DeWalt having the power stacks, I really feel like DeWalt is the way to go, especially for electricians, because you don't need that much torque and you get the smallest battery. Now, I digress to tell you this. This Milwaukee stuff was given to me by a subscriber that supports the channel very well. So he sent me about $2,000 of Milwaukee tools, and I am very grateful for everything that I've got. It's really hard to beat the power of Milwaukee. If I was to do it again, I would still say DeWalt because of how small the batteries are. Once Milwaukee starts coming out with smaller compact batteries that are stacked, it's going to tip the scale enormously in the favor of Milwaukee if they'll ever make a smaller battery. Because right now they've got the larger Forge batteries that look like this. So this is the Forge, and that's a 6.0, and it's stacked lithium just like your phone. I don't have any DeWalts in here. And that's a 3.0 with standard cylindrical cells that are 21/700s. So they're going across here like this and not stacked. I feel like Milwaukee really dropped the ball when they didn't make us a 3.0 stacked lithium battery, because it could have been smaller than this. And the output of a 3.0 stacked is probably equivalent to a 4.0 non-stacked. So they could have given us a very small battery that was very comparable to a 5.0, because the 1.7 from DeWalt has the same kind of torquey initial power as a 5.0 from DeWalt. I see the target in the background. What's your EDC? Okay, so probably the SIG 365 SAS is one of my favorites. But right now I've got a Shield that's just a little 380 that I take everywhere because it's got a little Techniclip, and you don't even need a holster. It's got like a 13-pound pull, and you just always have it on you. But I would say probably that 365 is one of my favorites. Let me see here. The Milwaukee is strong with this one. Yeah, you deserve it, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. The electricians I work with here in the UK get paid very well. That's great. I have a lot of offers all the time to start, working for these companies. I'll go in as an inspector. I'm looking at their plans. I'll analyze everything. So if I'm hitting underground before you guys even start the foundation, I'm already looking at every portion of the one line to make sure that the engineer didn't mess it up, because 9 times out of 10, the engineer always messes up. So I'm usually trying to catch stuff, making sure doors swing in an outward direction. So if you got over 800 amps or more inside of a main electric room, you got to have that door swinging in an outward direction, and it's got to have listed panic hardware. So I'm always making sure that doors are going to be swinging the right way. What is this channel about? This is an electrical tool channel, heavy on kind of both. Lately, we've done a lot of electrical stuff, which I really like, right? I wanted to be an electrical channel, hence the conductive wood portion of it. It's very hard to get your name out as an electrical channel. So we kind of use tools to kind of get into that category, because whenever I was an electrician, I would buy a lot of tools. and I couldn't wait to use the tools that I bought. It kind of motivated me to keep going and wanted to do more. So tools is something that resonates a lot with everybody in the trade. So I knew I could use tools, I could use electrical tools, power tools to kind of grab electricians to show electrical content, because it's hard to just post anything about electrical without using the cloud of being an electrical inspector, man. And I don't want to use that electrical inspector kind of persona to have people follow me. I refuse to do it. So that's where we're at. So, in general, if you looked at my channel, you wouldn't even know it's about electrical, and I like it that way. I'd like someone to stumble on me and let me prove to you that you're worth staying. I don't want you to join just because I might have something important to say. I want you guys to sub because you guys are actually getting something out of it. This is all for you guys. I don't make a whole lot doing this. It's starting to where it's getting a little bit better than breaking even. So I'm kind of making, but I'm also spending a lot of time doing this. So it's really not worth the money. I'm making money and I'm making more than I'm spending. But the time that I'm putting into this channel isn't even worth half of what I'm making, if you understand what that means. But I'm happy to do it. I got to get the knowledge out of here. And I've got a lot of knowledge that I think would be really, really stingy if I didn't share it. I helped you fix your garage door. Nice. Did you watch that video? Or was that with the toner and the tracer? I've got some of the best videos on these toners and tracers, just because when you are the last person on the job site, there's two things that does for you, right? One, that makes you the most valuable person because they wanted to keep you. Typically, they try to get everybody off the job site they can because they're just wasting man hours. And they try to only keep like the elite people because they are low on man hours. They need people that can troubleshoot, and they want people that want to be there. They care about the company, and we're trying to get the job done. So if you're the last person on the job site, you're usually seen as somebody valuable to the company, I guess is what you would say. And I've pretty much always been the last person on the job site, and that does a lot of things for you. That lets you get really good at troubleshooting because everybody messes up. It's how do you recover from those mistakes? Did you learn from your errors? Whatever it is, right? There's no shame in messing up because everyone does it. But did you learn something? Are you going to do it again? How did you recover from it? And moving forward, let's not do the same thing. So you get really good at troubleshooting, and you learn to use a lot of tools that a lot of people may not ever see, just because they're only doing pipe, they're only doing wire, or they're only doing panels, or you're only doing, there's about underground, whatever it is. Let's see here. Festool. Snap-on. Where am I from? I'm from Bermuda. So I'm in Texas now, from Bermuda. Definitely got a different outlook on life. Have you ever been to the islands and everyone's like really chill and pretty much loves everybody, and there's like very little hate, and everyone's just kind of trying to help each other, almost like a little village? That's my whole kind of mindset with life and everything. When I drive by somebody on the side of the road, I'm really, really compelled. And that is if I don't stop. Usually I do stop. But if I drive by and there's a piece of rebar on the road or something, I'm getting out. I'm going to grab the rebar and throw it to the side. If I drive and there's a bag and it's not too dangerous, I'm going to throw that bag on the side of the road. And it's not just because it's the city that I work for and I care about the city, but it's just because I'm compelled to help. It's a freaking curse. I can't help it. So let's see here. Catching up with the chat. Okay, but what would you like to add to the Taco Bell menu? Man, they got to bring back the churro, dude. They have the churros. and you could go home and you could put them in the ice cream. And they got rid of my churros. And I know they weren't like the best churros. They were like kind of like bendy and like they weren't great, but they were my freaking churros and they got rid of them. Have you ever used Deeza? That sounds like a trap. Deeza. No, I haven't. What state? Texas. What are you talking about? Electrical. We're really here to hear you. Midnight Taco Bell ideas. get the get the churros, man. You gotta add the churros. That's actually a good suggestion. I love it. Nice. I can't read that word out loud. That's funny. A lot of electricians are into that stuff, man. I've never actually experimented with anything. So, not that I feel like I'm better than anybody. I know that I would probably get addicted and I refuse to let myself go down that road. So, would I like to try something? Yeah, probably. It wouldn't bother me if I tried something, but I'm too afraid to get addicted to it. And I've got the mindset where I probably wouldn't, but I don't even want to try. I just don't. Who has the best barbecue? Uh, that's a good one, man. There's a place kind of far away in Wiley called Bolds. That's pretty good. But we got a couple of Lockharts around here. Is the Earth flat? Who knows, man? Probably not. This is my first time scrolling through YouTube Lives. This is probably the first normal stream. I'm truly fearful of the content our children will consume. No worries, bro. My kids are homeschooled. Um, yeah, exactly. That's a big worry. It's getting to be a problem. Even YouTube Kids is like questionable. Like you can leave your kids alone with YouTube Kids, you know? Oh, bro, never try anything, please. No, dude, I'm not gonna try anything. Um, there's always that curiosity, but the curiosity does not outweigh the willpower to not do anything. It's just there's no point in it, you know. So one of the biggest things, do you know a lot about solar? Just got into commissioning team, and I'm on my second site now. Always trying to learn. Nice. I've done I don't even know how many hundreds of solar inspections. Very, very well versed in solar. As far as the commissioning and the programming of it, like almost none. But as far as like what you want to see and how to size the breakers and the overcurrent and the maximum bus ratings and just every aspect of it of a one line, everything electrical. I mean, you can just ask. The site I'm on is 300 megawatt site. Yeah, that's pretty big. That's a pretty big one. So you're going to 600 soon. That's cool. See, I've never inspected something that big. I usually I might look at a, probably 3 times a week. I'm going to look at a 10 to 15 kW. Yeah, that's huge. So I could tell you a little bit, but I would completely tell you exactly what city I'm at and a lot of aspects about it. So I can't go into detail on the sizes that I've seen. Um, but yeah, that's an interesting thing. All the same rules apply, bonding, and at that point you're almost like a medium voltage. So how many volts DC are you on that? I will give it a go. Are you gonna try the Vietnamese barbecue? Nice. Texas barbecue sounds and looks amazing. I don't really know a whole lot about barbecue, except that I like it at 1200 volts. Okay. So you're in that medium voltage range, and then you're gonna hit a 480 transformer, and then you're gonna just be feeding a building, or are you doing or no, that's DC. That's DC. So that's substations, yeah. Yeah, so you're DC, and then you're several thousand AC, and then you're hitting transmission lines. Yeah. Yeah, I got you. I got you. For some reason I was thinking 1200 AC, which nothing. Yeah. Yeah, that's some big stuff. Yeah, inverters to substations. Yeah, exactly, exactly. I was thinking like a smaller one for like a building. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. Just big old solar farms. That's pretty cool. Coming from the UK, we always fantasize about how good it would taste. It's pretty good. I'm trying to think. What do you have in the UK? You've got all the Cadbury stuff though, man. I miss all my Cadbury stuff. Being from Bermuda, we get all that UK stuff. We'd have the Mars Company. We'd have the Maltesers, and just all the good candy, man. You guys got all the good candy. It's really good money for your age. Trying to get your journeyman's license soon. Nice. We were doing a practice test for a journeyman's test the other day, just for fun, just going through the questions. So if that appeals and you want to like learn how to like look things up and know like what keywords and stuff, that's exactly what we did. We didn't just go down and tell you what the answer was, or scroll through and show you where it is in the book. I don't have a PO box, but that's okay. You can send me something if you want. I will. If you want to send me an email to conductivewood@gmail.com, CONDUCTIVEWOOD at Gmail. So like conductive like electricity, and then wood is in wood. Yeah, just email me. I'll hit you back. I appreciate that. Thank you. Man, that's a skill in itself, but they say every real man knows how to barbecue. Yeah, I just grilled last night. I mean tonight. I don't know. Well, technically, I don't know what time it is, but yeah, we just grilled earlier. I haven't done any barbecue this year yet, but we're still trying to get settled in this house, man. We pretty much have to restart life. It's been an experience. Let's just say that. If you look up CIRS, which is chronic inflammatory response syndrome, that's what I've got. And I've got, out of the 37 symptoms, I've got all 40. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I've got them all. And I already lost my gallbladder. So we are very chemically sensitive to just about every type of air. And it's just been wild. I'll probably do a stream on that here soon at some point, just bringing awareness of it and just talking about the dangers of mold and stuff like that. The trick is to not get away from it while cooking, dude. All right, so we made hamburgers, and I did hot links, and I did some cheddar hot dogs. And then I threw some chicken on the grill earlier. And then we ran across the street to the store for like 5 minutes. And then we got back, And we're sitting on the couch playing Nintendo, and I realized the chicken had been sitting on the grill. Dude, this stuff goes clink, clink, clink when you hit it together right now. It's like, it's so bad. I could show you, but it's too embarrassing. It's so bad. I absolutely destroyed the chicken tonight, but it was just extra. The grill was already hot, so I just threw it on there. It's pretty funny. Yeah, conductedwoodagent.com. I got you when I come off. I'll say, nice, nice. Thank you. I've been waiting to send you some specialties here from the UK. Maybe you can do a live taste test. Dude, that'd be awesome. Are the minstrels still a thing? They used to have something called minstrels, minstrels. It's like little circular chocolate that's like soft on the inside and like super rich. And they have like a hard candy shell. And then you probably get the fruit pastels, don't you? You get all the good candy, dude. Roundtree. That would be cool. They are, yeah. What tea do you drink? So we like red rose. Yeah, they're crunchy. We like red rose. We've always done red rose. What tea do you like? What's my favorite tea is red rose. What's my favorite chocolate? Would be the Maltesers or the Minstrels, probably. But any Cadbury, man, anything. Uh, we have Carmelos here, which is kind of nice. We have we can get Cadbury's here, but not like you can there. I don't think drink tea, mic drop. Nice. Oh man. I drink a lot of coffee, but every once in a while I'll take a tea bag and I'll just put cream in there. And it's so good, man. But yeah, red rose is my jam. We'll do sweet tea out of it too. You should, it's good for you. Yeah, if we go to any cafe, like a pancake house or whatever it is, we'll get an English breakfast tea. I don't even know what the brand is. I just say English breakfast, and then we'll make them bring us the carafe, and we'll put the tea bags directly in the carafe and let it steep in their kettle. I'm sure it drives them crazy because they want to just keep it like, nice clean water, but I want to have like a nice steeped tea going on. What's up, Paul W? Hey, Paul W, check it out. We got a new whiteboard. Like how big it is, man. Isn't that great? Where's the old one? The old one's here somewhere. The old one was like this big. So, well, here why. Juan, where you been? Dude, oh, there's something. If I ever have to do tea, it has to be really strong. Right on. Whiteboard, I always come at the worst time. We haven't really touched the whiteboard tonight. I just mounted it like, I don't know, right before I got on here. That's pretty funny. I should wrote hi Paul on it like I usually do. But yeah, man, it's hard to beat a good tea, man. Put some half and half or cream and honey. That's my jam. Thai tea. Recommend you? Yeah. I need to do some more teas. It's better than drinking half of the garbage that I drink. So, back to the whole journeyman thing. There's gonna be a lot of stuff that you thought you knew, you just don't know because they don't teach you. These companies, they don't teach you anything. They throw you off in there, and you're just kind of supposed to know. Once you get your first job running a crew, your foreman is gonna kind of show you. And maybe I put on that demeanor like I already knew, but I didn't really know. I had to do a lot of quick studying to figure some stuff out pretty quick once I got my first job to kind of be the lead person over. And a lot of it had to do with like parallel circuits, had to do with the size of breakers, reading one lines, knowing what to pull, and then just trying to figure out how to drop your conduits off, because that gets important. Because if you get like a rack of conduits and one of your first drops is going to be a receptacle, well, you don't want that receptacle being in the middle of your rack. You need to plan for it to be on the outside of the rack. That way you can kind of drop this off, and then drop this one off, and maybe this one goes straight down or whatever it's doing. You don't really want to cross your pipe because the stuff is aesthetically, important as it is functional for electrical. Sorry, Juan, if I affected you. I used the GD often. I respect the Lord repentance. That's cool, man. Paul W, you did not offend me. The Lord will ask you someday. I gotta say that I do care for you. That's cool, man. This is a cool community, man. You guys are awesome. That's pretty. It's oxymoron. Yeah, exactly. Paul W is not good for the soul. So anyway, we'll probably touch on this a little bit later, but we're probably gonna get off of here. It's getting kind of late. I was gonna kill some time and let my wife get the kids to bed and probably get off here. We're gonna go to the range tomorrow. I'm supposed to go to a buddy's house and change out some breakers. Brings up that arc fault kind of conversation that I started with that video with how they nuisance trip and what he had. He actually had a whole bad batch of breakers from the factory, and Eaton actually reached out to him and sent him about 30 new breakers because all the trouble that he was having. So I'm going to run up there and see if I can switch out 4 or 5 of them and see if that helps him out. Hey guys, I need to get ready for work. It's 5 a.m. here. I'll drop you an email. Now, nice chatting with you guys. Good group of guys, to be honest. Yeah, man, this community is amazing. So nice meeting you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Trolls talking to each other in the same computer. You got a lot of trolls tonight, man. The trolls weren't too bad tonight. Some nights are pretty bad, but most of them are asleep now, I guess. Anyway, we're fixing to get off here anyway, so appreciate all the support. We'll see you guys later. Appreciate you, Juan. Moderators. See you guys. See you later, Paul.